What's up, man? What's going on?
Nothing, man. Just working hard, hardly working.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. So what's your plans for this weekend? I heard you're not fishing.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit this one out. I'm tired. I've been traveling a lot. I've still got work to finish at the college, and I promised myself I wasn't gonna fish too many events in Carolina this year. Kind of spread out, go other places, and I'm gonna try and stick to it at least.
Yeah.
I've been good the first quarter of the season here, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to skip this one more because it's going to get busy with Drew Gregory coming here next month for Kayak Adventure Series in Virginia, and then Santee Bassmasters at Santee. So, yeah.
Cool. That works. Hold on 1 second here.
And I'm kind of enjoying watching everyone else catch fish. It's kind of fun, man.
I hear you. I'm hoping
It's
for a
not
little
like I've never
redemption.
done that before.
Right. I'm hoping for some redemption on this one because the last time we fished the TOC there, and I double dipped because Queen City was fishing the YOLO at the same time. Day one, I just did crap, and that was bad. But prior to that, usually when I'm on that chain, I do really well. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can get some new wheels for the new truck by the time I'm done. We'll see.
Nice. So we got a lot going on here tonight. We got the CKA AOY race real quick to talk about. A lot of kayak fishing news. We got Will Lambert coming on, and then we got the weekend preview talking about that ahead of the captain's meeting later in the week.
Yeah. Hold on, let me bring up the Angler of the Year standings. We can go over that real quick. Pull that up. Boom. Let's see.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a little bit different. There's some new names up there.
Yeah, look at that. Wow. Yeah, I love it, man. I love seeing things getting mixed up and guys starting to battle early on.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Leland's been around for a few years. Brandon Bain, he goes back a little longer. He just didn't fish with us until recently. And then, you got the old timer, Brian, in there. I love seeing that top three. It's a really interesting top three.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be a battle. We got we're only on event 3?
This will be event 3 coming up. So yeah, we got a wide open race here. Because remember, you drop scores later on,
right?
And this is real, but this is really wide open for early on. I'm really impressed. This is a testament to the quality of competition in the club, especially with the new blood coming in and stuff.
Yeah, and having the first couple events with no forward facing kind of mixed it up a little bit. Some guys that are strong with it and not without kind of slipped, and some guys who are don't have it got to step up a little bit, and and some people who are good with and without it did well as well. So
amazing.
Yeah, it was
amazing. And I love seeing the old guys representing here. Ronald, I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, he pulled himself out a nice toad. Had a good day.
Yeah, I mean, he's just outside the top 10. Get in there, buddy.
Heck yeah. Yeah, that brings us to what's going on with the national stuff. We had some friends out there doing well. Was it last weekend or the weekend before?
The weekend before, right? Yeah.
I think maybe, yeah.
Week and a half ago.
Yeah. Casey Reed taking home a big win down in Cattle Lake. Good job, Casey.
Awesome.
Yeah, nice to see that. It's awesome stuff. And Don Trell put up a heck of a fight. At day one was awesome. He had the lead there and
sick.
Came back, but just not quite enough to get ahead of Casey on day 2, and ended up with second place. So
by what, a quarter inch, I think it was?
Yeah, it was something tiny. That's the stuff that just keeps you up at night.
Yeah.
Coulda, shoulda, right?
I mean, I think anyone who does this for long enough and fishes big events has been there, right? What's
Yeah.
up, Steven? Steven represented well down at Caddo too. Good job
Yeah.
down there, Bassmaster. Arlie was there, I think. Corey was there. So, we had a bunch of anglers there, and Dontrell came out on top of the CKA guys who were down there. And it was just amazing. That's the kind of thing like, you're going to remember for the rest of your life. And he went home with a nice check and a trophy, and it's an awesome, awesome thing. I'm so
Yeah.
happy for him because, he's a guy. We had him on a few weeks ago. You can go back and watch him on here. He's just down to earth and fishes hard, man. That's,
Yeah.
but, yet again, here we are. I used to call it the forge, right? Because this is where we make the hammers. Yet again, CKA anglers going out into the world. And let's not forget Alex winning that event down there in South Carolina with that weekend too. Going out into the world and showing like how just dedicated we are to kayak fishing and catching bass. It's amazing. Like, you know, I just built a new trophy case here for my stuff.
Right.
You can see it right there. It's not, I didn't build it. It was my dad's. He built it, and I brought it in here. And I finally consolidated a bunch of trophies and awards and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, you know, you've got your stack, and everyone's got their own stack of stuff. If you go out and learn how to fish those national events, eventually you'll figure it out. And that's what
Right.
Dontrell did.
Yep. Yep. You fall into your own thing, and boom.
Yep.
You got to put in the work and the time. Unfortunately, it makes it tough.
And we got
You gotta
two good
work
ones
for it.
coming next month with Bassmaster, the National Trail, and then Kayak Adventure Series. So,
Right.
before we move on to Will and all that, I spoke with Drew Gregory today. He said he'd be happy to come on here and talk about the event. So let's get him on there.
Okay. All right.
So everybody look out for that soon. We'll post it up and announce it when we got a date and time booked. But speaking of the forge and the hammers, here's Mr. Will Lambert, right?
Yeah. Let's bring him on in. There he is, man, the myth, the legend. What's going on?
Not much, just enjoying life, I guess.
Yeah. So I figured you would struggle your ass off with no forward facing, but I kind of knew in the back of my mind you kicked ass before you had it. So you done found him again.
Yeah, found him again. It's like a comment. Somebody said that I didn't need it, and I was like, well, it's a lot better with it than without it. It makes things a little bit easier sometimes. Sometimes you get lost in it and you wish you didn't have it. Keep looking at the screen, and that can get you in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
well, tell us more about that. What do you mean? Like, I'm a guy who I've seen it. Like, I've sat next to Gabe Mascarella one day when we were pre-fishing at McIntosh, and he just showed me what he was doing on there, and I was like amazed by what he was able to do with forward-facing boat. What do you mean that that's a thing? Sometimes it's a liability. Tell us about that.
sometimes I feel like you're trying to force a bite that isn't there. And sometimes you can try to rely on it too much instead of just, or getting lost in past history stuff that you did, or even what worked the day before. Everything always changes, so you just kind of have to be able to adapt and make those judgment calls quicker. And that's something that I think I've learned that's helped me a lot. Is not getting lost in what I'm doing or just chasing a dot, for instance. Most of the time, I like fishing structure. So stumps, brush piles, rocks, ledges. That's mainly what I love using it for, more than just chasing a moving object.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
So what's
Interesting, man. That's a great answer. I never thought of it that way, but it makes perfect sense.
I've heard it's like fishing with forward facing is like totally different. You need to throw out everything you know from or everything you do normally. Did you find out that that's the case? You got to have a different total mindset when you're fishing.
I found that some things that people always thought were true weren't necessarily true. I mean, fish do use creek channels as like a traveling highway. I think that's more true in shallower water than deeper water. If a fish wants to go to the other side and they're swimming 10 foot down, they'll just go 10 foot all the way across. I think that's something I've noticed that's random, but also just how random you can come up on fish that you didn't like. Why are they there?
Hmm.
You know, but is it, some people were like, well, why was it there? And I was like, I don't know, but I was glad that they were.
Right.
I'm not questioning why they were there necessarily because, as long as you can catch them and get them to bite, that's the objective. So,
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I heard that like a lot of big boring flats that everyone would just ignore, and they're just looking for the points and the drop offs and whatever. And they used to ignore that stuff. Now that's where they're finding a lot of the big bass sitting on these big flats with nothing.
yep, I found that to be true as well. I know that, I wish I had it at Jordan. I felt like I could have made something work there. That I tried to make work during the tournament with shad spawn in the morning. But they never. I mean, I did catch one in the morning during the shad spawn, but I wish I'd have had it to kind of be a little bit more accurate and being able to target them more quickly to be efficient during that time.
Yeah. Yeah. You get that short period of like what, a half hour, 45 minutes sometimes where
Yep.
they're fired up, and you you don't get much time to figure out what bait they want. That's for sure. And then mind where they are. So yeah, there's an area where I was fishing. There was probably 20 feet offshore and around this whole point where the bass were out there, but you didn't know exactly where. If have them forward facing, you'd be able to just point them out and be able to be a little more efficient for
And
sure.
even having it at say Murray, I knew early in the morning I needed to get on them quick, and I did. Except they kept missing or ripping it from each other. But they would school so quick that if you weren't within casting distance and ready to cast, you wasn't going to get to them. And even if you could see them on live, they didn't care.
Right.
It was kind of crazy how I feel like they've adapted to forward facing, and they can kind of feel it or hear the ping, kind of like with any traditional sonar. I think that they've definitely adapted more to it.
That's interesting. I wonder if there are going to be any studies of that. I'm sure somebody's out there tagging fish and chasing them with forward facing, measure their reactions or lack thereof to see how it influences them. Man, that's a
Oops.
really interesting point.
Yeah.
What we got on there?
Oops. I didn't want my butt on there.
And I've always noticed that catfish and carp, for some reason, are way more sensitive to it than bass ever were for the longest time. And I
Mm,
don't know if that has anything to do with their whiskers
hmm
or what. But sometimes you just instantly knew when you seen a fish that was up against the surface and they went all the way down to 20 foot that was more than likely a catfish or a carp or something.
Right. Right.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder about that. That's interesting. Huh.
So
Well,
what was your mindset going into Jordan? Did you have a game plan, or were you just like you're going to wing it because you haven't fished without the forward facing for a while, or how'd that work?
Well, I mean, I did take it out to pre-fish with it, mainly just to use it in perspective mode, so sideways instead of forward. It was
Hmm.
still forward, but instead of vertical, it's more horizontal. And I was using it to kind of look underneath like the scum lines or the pollen lines for like beds and stuff like that, and being able to mark them. But I didn't use it that much. But I found a bunch of bedded bass, and so like in 3 hours, I marked probably 50 some beds to try to come back and run to
Hmm.
underneath in Big Beaver. And that was my game plan. Once I found that, I was like, hey, there's fish there. You just got to be able to catch them.
Right.
And so that was my mindset going in. And I wasn't planning on a shad spawn, but if a shad spawn happened, I was ready to take advantage of it. And that ended up happening. I've seen some fish boil really quick on top of the water, not really bust, threw a popper over there, one missed it. Then they started doing it behind me, and I tossed it behind me and ended up catching a 14 incher first thing in the morning. Um, and then they kind of stopped in my area. So I looked around, and one of the coves that I had a bunch of beds marked in, I noticed there was two boats that were fishing the deeper banks, and nobody was on the inside of that cove. So I decided to go ahead and make a move across and get in there before they did. And sure enough, they were both heading towards that cove, and both of them turned into the cove. And thankfully, were at least a little bit respectful and kind of fished their side and then moved home. Because I ended up catching a 20 and a half on a swim jig, mega bass bluegills swim jig. Um, and then fished for some bedded bass. Couldn't get them to go. It seemed like they'd been pressured, I guess, from the day before. And so I left there and started just snaking around, seeing a bunch of cruising bass. I was standing up with my Garmin motor and just motoring around the bank, and found a random stick up on the edge of a point. Caught one on a weightless wacky worm on that. It was the 20 incher. Um, I went a long time without a bite after that. Definitely the boats and all the other kayakers and stuff have really started putting a pressure onto the fish, and they just seemed to shut down or just very defensive and didn't want to bite. And so I finally got one to go on a flashy swimmer, like a bluegill colored Kayak with an underspin, that was kind of protecting a bed back and forth. And then I was going to run back that cove that I started in at the end of the day with like an hour to go. And there was a boat in there. So I ended up turning left and going into another cove that I marked fish in, and started flipping a laydown with a Texas rig. And ended up catching that 18 3/4. And actually, I had entered in a bass the wrong length, and I noticed it had been the length had been modified. And so when I'd done the math in my head, I was like, "All right, I'm ahead." And then when I seen that it got modified, I was like, "Oh no, I'm a 1/4 inch behind." And then I uploaded and realized I did my math wrong. I was 1/4 inch ahead, so it was like an up and down real quick of a motion. So then I was just at that point kept fishing and flipping laydowns and trying to get another bite, and never did. So I only got five bites, 5 fish landed. I had 9 bites all day. I was just waiting for Leland to call a 1/4 inch and beat me on big fish or whatever. But thankfully, no offense, Leland, but thank you. I'm glad you didn't.
Right. Oh man, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that was
nice
a
to
great
get one.
battle. Yeah. And just we had that dramatic battle between you and Leland on Saturday, and then we watched Casey and Dontrell do the exact same thing on Sunday, and both ended by a 1/4 inch. Those are the closest ones, man. I love those. Those are fun to watch.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they're stressful to be in when you're in there.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I felt it a little bit too. Like just watching the good Dontrell and Casey going back and forth. I'd messaged Dontrell the night before, and it said, I have good luck on day 2. And he's like, I got to get after him early. And I didn't really see him get after him early. And I was like, hopefully he figures something out. And he did. But congrats to him. Congrats to Casey, Jared, Wyatt, all those guys that did really well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Jared was down there. He did well too. Yeah, Wyatt.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts, man. We had a good showing of people we know from a relatively close distance. The whole kick butt way down in Louisiana.
Carolina, man.
Awesome.
I think it was 3 from Carolina, North Carolina, that got in. So
yeah, it was awesome.
And yeah, man. When you gonna get out and fish some of those big events, Will?
Whenever I decide that I need to do, I guess, a big event over quantity of events.
Yeah.
I still right now I like my quantities. I like being able to fish as many tournaments as I can, if possible. This year it lined up with my work schedule, working every other weekend. It worked easier to do more Queen City events because I'd have to take off for 5 CKA events, and that's a lot of time when you're working 12-hour days. So maybe next year if it flips back, we'll see how the schedules work.
Are you gonna do Kayak Adventure Series or Bassmaster when they come around next month?
I'm gonna do the Bass event at Santee. Queen City's doing one right along with them as well. So I gotta figure something out at Santee. I've been there. I think I've fished 4 or 5 tournaments there, and I've never caught a limit. I don't think. It's just
it can be tough.
It's always just done well the day before and just terrible the day of the tournament. So hopefully I can change that. Maybe I need to have a terrible pre-fish and to do good in the tournament.
Yeah, do that. Try to do that on purpose. Good luck with that.
Well, congratulations on Jordan, man. That gave you a really amazing status in the club's history books because you're the first CKA angler to reach double-digit wins. You have 10 wins. You've got Brian behind you with 8, I think, and Rick with 7. So, yeah, that's an awesome accomplishment, Will.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
What do you think about looking ahead to this coming weekend? You're going to fish it. Tell us what your thoughts are about the Yadkin chain going into it this weekend.
I'm really curious what this rain's going to do tomorrow. The lakes are pretty low. I think High Rock's like 2.25 foot low. I think Tucktown's 2.5 foot low. I think Baden's 2 foot low. They're all low.
Right.
So I'm curious the influx of water and how much rain we actually do get. I think will change a lot of things up. I don't know for better or for worse. I think it also depends on how much mud we get. So today I went there and fished for 3 hours. Wasn't really expecting that rain to come through like it did, and the thunder and lightning and stuff. And then the wind was pretty terrible after that, and I left. But the bite was pretty decent on High Rock.
Interesting. Yeah, it's High Rock's one of my favorite lakes. And in Tuckertown, and did well at Tillery too. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time picking a spot. I want to do High Rock, but I'm afraid of with all the Queen City guys and CKA guys and whatever Foothills guys. Everyone's going to be coming down for this. I don't know how much room I'll have. So
I know there's a Big Bass Bash as well, Saturday and Sunday on High Rock. So they're going out of Tamarack, I believe. So it's gonna be crowded.
Yeah,
all of them are gonna be crowded regardless.
Yeah, always. Especially I don't know. Maybe the rain will hold some of the pleasure people out at least.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
Because it looks like it's gonna be a little wet, a little chilly, maybe.
But yeah,
fine with me as long as the bass bite. I don't care.
If it keeps the jet skis and the wake boaters and all them other people off the water, hey, let's go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Good deal. So you've got a little bit of pre-fish in, not a ton though?
No, not a ton. I'm gonna try to go again Friday, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. But yeah, I definitely was planning on spending a full day there today, but it just once that front came through, it just turned into like 15-mile-an-hour sustained wind, whitecap, and I just decided to pack it in and take it back home.
Yeah, it takes the fun out of it, especially in our little boats.
Well, sometimes it turns the bite on, but sometimes it definitely makes it a lot harder, especially trying to flip and stuff like that, fishing like how I like to. But it wasn't happening there. It was pretty bad.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to learn something, figure something out, see what the fish are doing. It's hard to do when the weather's just insane.
For sure. For sure.
You're not going to get as much knowledge as you want, unfortunately.
Or you just figure out what not to do.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, I'm good at that. I just
look at it as a positive because it was, going to be similar conditions to what Saturday are. So if you're going to pre-fish, at least pre-fish what maybe the conditions are going to be Saturday. Like I said, I still think it's going to highly depend on what it does Wednesday and how much rain we get and whether they flow water. Because like Tuckertown, that lake, anytime that they're flowing water, it tends to pick up the bite. Right. But it depends if they're flowing a bunch of muddy water, it can turn it off too. It just it's a feast or famine.
Yeah.
So, it's good we're getting this rain. It's going to set up for the summer a little better, I hope, because I just saw that to get out of the drought here that we're in Raleigh, we need a minimum of 9 inches of rain. So, we ain't going to be getting that anytime soon. So the more we get now, the better these lakes are going to be in the summer. And this, who knows? Hopefully we get more rain. You never know. But the drought has definitely affected conditions in ways that, it's exposed structure. It's made where they spawn a little different. You got to look for fish in different places. And with those 4 lakes there, they're all so different from each other. Some of those flats on Tuckertown are going to be totally, flooded with fresh water. Are the fish going to go up? Are they going to stay back? I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
for sure. And you're talking about FFS earlier. One thing that I've seen recently was a stump that was about 2, maybe 3 foot tall in 10 foot of water. And I swear that was a fry guard, or not a fry garter, but a male bass just sitting there going back and forth guarding it. Because I could just take like a weightless wacky worm and dance it over top, and it would just basically like usher it away. So, bass adapting or just spawning in places that probably we never thought that they did.
Yeah.
I really think that the bigger females, they never move up. They actually stay out that deep, and that's where they spawn, and they just don't move up like that, and you never see them.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely go just as shallow as they have to go, and that's it. They're not going to go further than that.
Yeah, they play it safe.
They didn't
That's
get
why
that
they
big
got
from being stupid.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Good
Right
deal.
on, man. Well, that's good, Will. Thanks for coming on here, brother. Good
No
luck
problem. Thanks
down
for having
there. Good luck down there on Saturday. I think I'll be judging, so hopefully you won't hear from me.
me. Sounds good.
No,
Thank y'all and good luck, y'all too.
denied. But yeah, I'll see you down there, and yeah, hopefully we'll both be cashing a check over at Rock Outdoors.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good night.
See y'all. You too. Bye.
Good deal.
One last thing before we wrap this up here. I'm giving a talk at the Hillsborough Sport Fishing Society in Hillsborough, North Carolina next week. It's a kayak fishing thing. Some members want to hear about kayak fishing. If you follow my page, Hank John Fishing, I'll post something about details on there later. If you want to come out and hear a talk, if you're interested in getting into the sport. My good old friend Joel Elliott invited me to talk to the club.
Nice.
So yeah, it's right in Hillsborough. That'll be I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's one of the two.
Awesome. I know I've seen a couple questions about how to join this event in the club and all that, and the questions here. So if you go to fishingchaos.com, download the app if you want. You can find Carolina Kayak Anglers in there, and you can sign up if you want to be a member for points, if you want to just fish the event, either whichever way you want to do it. And for the other events that are going on, the Bass event and the Queen City event, they're on tourneyx.com. So
yeah, two separate judging platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, two separate apps, so you got to upload your fish on both. So yeah, it's gonna be prepared for that. But yeah, we did set it up so we have one ID code, one either Queen City or CKA ID. So should make it a little easier for everybody, and hopefully we have a big turnout. Even though weather's a little iffy, but that makes fishing more interesting.
We're going to do a separate captain's meeting. We'll post up about that. So follow the CKA page on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We'll post info about the captain's meeting for this weekend, probably tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely follow the groups and the pages and stay informed, because you never know what's going to pop up. Maybe we'll have some fun events that might just show up out of nowhere. So definitely stay in touch and make sure you're following the page, not just liking it. And yeah, we'll see what's going on.
All right.
But,
see you, buddy.
All right. Thanks, Hank. We'll talk to you.
Bye, everyone.
Soon.